Welcome to Zoom with Czarny. I'm Dustin Czarny, Democratic Elections Commissioner, and welcome to my interview show that I do each week with candidates and democracy advocates. Today is Friday, October 27th, and I'm talking to the Cicero Democrats, specifically Jay Riordan and Rob Santucci. Jay Riordan is running for Cicero Town Board, and Rob Santucci is the new Cicero Democratic Chair. They're trying to revive the Cicero Democratic Committee. We've had Democratic representation out in Cicero before, and I think Jay Riordan gives a great interview in talking about his background that really, with Micron coming to town, really comes into play. So I hope you stick around for that interview. This week, tomorrow, it's the start of early voting here in Onondaga County and throughout New York State, and it's Golden Day. That's right. I talked about this in Commissioner in the Car, but it's the last day to register to vote, but also the first day of early voting, which means that you can go to any poll site and register to vote, as well as vote on the same day. So it's basically same day registration for the only Saturday. They're only the first Saturday of early voting, October 28th. So you can participate in that, and I hope you do. If you're not registered or if you've moved or something like that. Early voting runs until November 5th. So it runs from Saturday, October 28th to November 5th. Hours are 9 to 5 on the weekends and 10 to 6 on the weekdays, except for Wednesday and Thursday, which is noon to 8. And then you can go to any of our 10 sites. Go to onvote.net. You can find out the site nearest you or where you're driving by. We have 3 sites inside the city: Southwest Community Center, Beecham Library, and Armand Magnarelli Center. And we have sites all around the outside of the city. We have 7 more sites, starting at DeWitt Town Hall in the east. In the southeast is Lafayette Fire Station number 1. In the southwest, we have OCC Mulroy Hall. In the west, we have Camillus Fire Station. In the north, we have Claytown Hall. And in the northwest, we have Lysander Town Hall. And then in the northeast, we have North Syracuse Community Center. So all 10 sites, really good coverage. You can walk in, vote from wherever you live at any one of these sites. So check it out. So early voting starts on Saturday. And that's all I really got for you. So please stay for this interview with Jay Riordan, who's running for Cicero Town Board, and Rob Santucci, the Cicero Town Democratic Committee Chair. It's a great interview, and I think you can see that, that what he brings to the table in this interview. Bye-bye. And we're back, and I'm so happy to have my good friend, Rob Santucci, chair of the Cicero Democrats, and my new friend, Jay Riordan, who's running for town council out in the town of Cicero. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dustin.
Thank you, Jay. I should note that there is another town council candidate, Joan Kessel, who just had another obligation tonight and couldn't make the taping, but we hope to hear from her on the campaign trail. So we're going to talk to Jay about town council here in Cicero and his campaign. And then we'll talk a little bit with Rob about the building up of the Cicero Democrats, the rebuilding of the Cicero Democrats that he's undertaken the last couple of years. But Jay, let's start with you. And I always like to ask, who's Jay Riordan? Tell us a little bit about your background and let the voters get to know you.
Well, thanks, Dustin. Yeah, I am originally a tech person. I grew up in central New York near Utica. I went to Clarkson at the age of 17, graduated from there, did tech work for a while. Eventually in the early 2000s, I found my way into real estate in Southern California in a community. I was based in Oceanside, California, that was getting a lot of investment and a lot of attention. And a lot of people wanted to live there. And that's not dissimilar to what I think is going to happen in the coming years in Cicero. And I'll tell you more about that later. But I'm really a tech person combined with a real estate person. And I think that I have the best experience of any candidate out there who's running for town councilor this year. And I think that's going to be important to Cicero going forward. But, that's basically my background. I'm a CNY native. I traveled all over the world and lived all over the world and came back here in 2015. Have done real estate new home builds here since then, and bringing that experience hopefully now to the Cicero Town Board.
And so that kind of gets me to my next question, because here we are in a local year, and these local town races that are coming up really affect the citizens a little bit more than they realize, but they also just don't realize what they do. So, Jay, tell us a little bit about town council and town board. What goes into being a town councilor, especially in the town of Cicero?
I think that one thing we have to come back to in the town of Cicero is what the exact responsibilities of a town councilor are, because I think that in recent years we've sort of kind of gotten off track somewhat. The town council and the town councilors in particular are there to really guide the town forward, okay, to bring all their personal experience, all their knowledge, all their connections for the betterment of the town. And to make sure that the town doesn't make mistakes, okay? And that's really the role of a town councilor. That's what the town councilor role, that's how the town councilor role, rather, is described on the Town of Cicero website. And that's how I take it. This is how Cicero wants the town councilors to act. This is what they want from town councilors. And I feel it's a good fit for me with my experience and with my knowledge and with my connections to provide suitable guidance for the town in that role and to contribute in that way.
And so you are running, and it's hard to get in. I think people don't realize just how hard it is to make that decision to run for local office. And so you're running, and I guess I kind of want to know why. Why did you decide that, what are some of the issues in Cicero that made you decide to get in and get off the sideline? And this is your first run, right? For town council? Oh, no?
Absolutely no. It's my first run. It'll be this is my one and only involvement in politics. After that, I am not a politician by any degree.
So what made you get in?
Don't want to be one.
Why are you running for town council?
That I couldn't get information from the town about the important things that are going on with the Micron project coming in. I mean, this project is going to be huge. We're talking about a $100 billion investment. At least that's the headline number that's in the news. Some people take it as $50 billion. Okay. But we're talking just a huge, huge, huge thing coming into Cicero. And for 3.5 months, I tried to just get information from the other candidates who were running on the other political side, and it wasn't forthcoming. I don't think the town is doing a great job with communication. In fact, I think they're doing a rather mediocre job. And I with the significance of Micron and all that stuff that's coming in, I just think that they need to do a better job with communication. They need to do a better job of keeping the residents informed, and they need to do a better job of inviting participation amongst the residents. They've done it somewhat, but now's the time to really step up and do it in a way that reflects the amount of investment and the number of residents that are going to be coming into this community. I mean, Micron itself is going to hire 9,000 people. We're going to have about 35,000 spin-off and affiliated jobs. And Cicero is the town that is closest to the Micron facility. We've got 45,000 workers moving in, and Cicero only has a population now of about 32,000. Now, not all of them are going to live in Cicero, but a good portion are. And that's going to mean that Cicero's population is likely to double over the course of this Micron project over the next 20 years. And we need to prepare for that. I don't feel that the town is doing that in the best way. They're doing a sort of mediocre, okay job of it. But we really need to step up the game. We need to roll up our sleeves, get to work, and, do the communication, do the outreach that is appropriate for a town that's getting this sort of investment.
I hear this from a lot of my other interviews that I talk to town councilors or candidates for town councils, especially in traditionally red areas. Cicero is represented by all Republicans, and that when that happens, the communication seems to break down. There's not a lot of transparency. They're not, putting out their videos of their board meetings on time, or even at all in some cases. We talked to the Onondaga town councilors that are running, they can't even get information as well. So your plight is something that I hear all across Onondaga County, and you're right. Micron is a huge issue. It may be located in Clay, and yes, not everybody's going to live in Clay or Cicero, but most people that will be coming to the area will at least be looking at Clay and Cicero as a place to start their family, or swell the numbers there. And there isn't a lot of information about how that's going to affect the community. So I'm glad you brought up Micron. I mean, I was going to bring up Micron too. So let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think Micron's going to do to Cicero?
I think I need to back up, and I want to answer a different question, Dustin. So if you allow me, let me tell you, let me back up a second and answer the question of why you should be confident as a Cicero resident that Micron is coming here and is locating here, and this is a done deal.
Oh, it's definitely a positive thing. I didn't want to make that.
It's definitely a positive thing, but there is a large subset of the Cicero population that is convinced this is not going to happen. Okay. And I guess one big message in my campaign is to inform the Cicero residents that at this stage, and especially because of developments that have occurred in the last 6 to 9 months, this right now is a done deal with Micron. It is coming, and it's coming not just because of Micron corporate issues. Yes, they are risking their entire $70 billion market cap on this project right here in Clay, okay? But it's coming for more important and significant reasons too, and those are the national security issues. We have a situation where the United States government as a whole, across both parties, Republicans, Democrats, even the independents, even the libertarians, have decided that we here in the United States need to have this semiconductor manufacturing onshore. It's one of 3 crucial technology areas that are essential for our national security and essential for the future of our technology. And those 3 areas are semiconductor manufacturing, which Micron does, AI, artificial intelligence, which Micron provides the memory chips for, and quantum computing, okay, which is the third item, which is not really Micron's forte, but maybe it will be in the next 20 years. But if you look at the national security issues, you can see that this is such a strong drive by the American government to bring these companies back to America so that we don't have to rely on Taiwan if something were to happen. We don't have to rely on China. We can do these things ourselves. And during the pandemic, we saw that the chip problem was a real problem with those supply chain disruptions. And so bringing it onshore makes sense. It's not only the national security issues, it's the future of our technology. Okay, in 5 years, we're going to be using these 3 technologies in everything that we have, in our computers and our phones and everything. And it really defines the future of the United States, the future of technology overall. And that's happening right here in Northern Onondaga County. And the impact is going to be huge. I mean, we're talking about 45,000 jobs coming in, but we're also talking about Micron using 48 million gallons of water a day. Eventually, after the full build out, they'll be using the electrical equivalent of 1.5 million households. This is a huge thing that's coming in, and it's most important that Cicero residents who might have an issue or might have a thought or might have feedback or might have ideas be able to be involved in local government as we make these plans for accommodating this huge manufacturing facility that is so essential to America's future. We have a limited window as Cicero residents to make our voices heard and to let the town know and have our representatives in the town know, which we don't have right now on the Democratic side, but to let our representatives in the town know what's important to us as Cicero residents. And that window of opportunity to do so is going to close pretty quickly. That's why it's important for everybody who wants to be involved, to get involved now and not to wait, Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of no better person than a tech person to get onto the Cicero Town Board and talk, because Micron is going to have such a huge impact on our community, and having those local voices that understand the need for this project, but also understand the impact of this project, especially on Cicero. And again, all positive impacts overall, but that doesn't mean that there won't be street congestion. That doesn't mean that there won't be housing issues. That doesn't mean that there won't be schools that are suddenly burdened like they weren't before. And if somebody's not there with their finger on the pulse and telling the community what the changes are and opportunities are for people who are looking for work, that is something that can be a lost opportunity. Yeah, go.
It really is, Dustin. I'm sorry for interrupting you there, but
it's your podcast.
I wanted to, tell you that, your tech point is right on. You cannot understand fully the Micron project and its implications without a basic understanding of the technology that's involved. Okay. And I can tell you that pretty much nobody else in town government is going to understand what photolithography is, or why one company in the Netherlands provides all the equipment for this, or what a 10 nanometer production process is, or what Micron's 1 alpha and 1 beta mean. Okay. But somebody ought to on the town board. Okay. Because that's what they're going to do. And that's what all these new employees and their families who are going to come to this town are going to be involved in. And without that understanding, you really can't make an informed decision. And back to your original, or one of your original questions, I think it was your second one. What does a town councilor do? Well, a town councilor brings everything that they have with their expertise, their knowledge, their connections, and they bring it to the town council for the betterment of the town. And it's not a political thing or anything like that. It's not a Democrat versus Republican thing, although that is an issue here because it just evolved that way. It's that, hey, I guess this is maybe a better answer to why I'm running, because I saw that, hey, there's nobody on the town board who has this experience, who has this knowledge, who can provide this guidance. I can. So hence my candidacy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm excited to hear this from you, and that you're, so versed in this important project that is going to affect your community. But so I guess this leads into my next question. When you're elected in November, what are you hoping to do? What are some of the things that you want to change the way the town board is operating or do better? Keeping in mind Micron, but also just town government in general.
The biggest thing is approachability. Right now, we have an all-Republican town board. Fine. We have a all-Republican planning board. Basically, everybody in town government is Republican. And even the Republican opponents in this election were decided by the Republican Party before the Republican primary earlier this year. Okay, it's sort of it's a system that's evolved here in Cicero, where the whole government is Republican. When I actually got involved in local politics, it was because of a particular real estate issue. And I was one of two Democrats amongst a group of maybe 10 or 20 Republicans who were involved in that particular issue. The particular issue is not really important. I'm just going to state that it's a real estate issue. But one of the first things I was told is that to make a difference in Cicero, you have to get in cozy with the Republican Party. You need to donate to them. You need to get their lawn signs on your lawn. You need to show that you support them. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do business with them. And I thought that was wrong. And I think it's objectively wrong. I think that accessibility is really important. When somebody, as a Democrat or even as an independent, and Rob and I have talked to some wonderful independents while canvassing recently, who provided some great advice, and it's wonderful to talk to. And we had one resident who was superstar, a independent who was also an electrical engineer, so he understood everything about the Micron project. We had great conversations, great feedback. But here's the thing: if you're a Democrat or you're an independent, and you look at the town government and you see that it is this way, then you're going to feel deterred from participating. And when somebody tells you that to participate in local government, you need to make a donation, you need to get behind this particular candidate, you have to show that you're of this political stripe, that's not the way it should be. And that's what I intend to change. I want the feedback, I want the input, I want the thoughts of Democrats, independents, and even Republicans who might not agree with the existing party line here in Cicero. And I'm open to that. I think I am not the most Democrat in the world. I am a Democrat. That's in my heart. That's what I believe in. But I am more on the independent side of the Democratic spectrum. I'm not a hardcore Democrat, but I think with me on the town board, we can have a more inviting town board just by showing that there's some representation for those who are outside the all-Republican current system.
Yeah, Jay, absolutely. And I'm so happy to be interviewing you today and knowing that you're out there fighting the good fight out in Cicero. But I'm going to talk to your friend who's also been fighting the good fight, and a good friend of mine going back, I don't know, like 30 years now. We've known each other, Rob. Rob Santucci is the new chair of the Cicero Democrats. I think he became chair last year. Is that correct? November. Yep. And he's been tasked to rebuilding Cicero in the Cicero party. And Democrats have won in Cicero before. We've had a Democrat town councilors. We've had a Democratic supervisor in the recent past. But you're kind of starting from scratch here, Rob. So tell me a little bit why you took on this role of chairing the Cicero Democrats, and finding good candidates like Jay Riordan here to have him run for town board.
Well, thank you, Dustin. I joined the committee post 2016 in the whole Trump, rush thing. And I joined, and the first day I showed up to the meeting, the town chair resigned. So I knew we were in for kind of a rough run there. Actually, we went through a couple of people, and Nate Riley, who joined the committee the same day I did, was the town chair, and he gave us stability and structure. And I was very happy. Our committee was not in bad shape. It just wasn't moving forward, but we had great stability where we hadn't in the past. When I was elected in November, I said, look, if I'm going to jump into this thing, I'm going to make it better. I'm not, one of the things I always tell my members is, if you meet every month and you get nothing done, you're a club. If you meet so often and you have an action plan to get things done, you're a committee. So I said, we're going to be a committee. We're not going to be a club. We're not going to meet every month. We're going to get stuff done. We have a system where we have a subcommittee system where we have people on social media, people on fundraising. A lot of this has been stolen from Manlius, by the way. John Deere is somebody who I admire tremendously. So we started this subcommittee system, and we assign people duties. So now they know they have to do certain things, and it's not nebulous. It's okay, here's my assignment. We did that. We've grown our membership by 35% since November. We've been on a recruiting tear, bringing in quality people. I'm talking really smart, motivated people. And because of that, I think, we're able to land a candidate like Jay, and Joan Kessel comes back in from the bench from a number of years ago, and she was town supervisor. She wanted to get involved in it. So it really pleases me to see that all these people are willing to invest in Cicero. Jay said it, we're a Republican town, but realistically, as you know, we're only about a 3% deficit to the Republicans in this town. It's just that their people vote. I have to find a way to make my people vote because we need representation. One thing about Micron, and I'm going to say this from a historical perspective. I'm a member of the Cicero Historical Association and a former retired history teacher in the North Syracuse district. The Micron project is going to be larger to this community than the Plank Road was in Cicero many, many years ago in the 1800s. The Plank Road was that road that brought people from Syracuse to Cicero and actually started to grow the town of Cicero. It's a major, major thing in Cicero's history. Micron is going to eclipse that as a marker for this town. And that's something that people should be aware of.
Yeah. And, the Cicero Democratic Committee has a long history. And you're right. We've had not just one town supervisor, we've had two town supervisors in the recent past. Joan Kessel, who's running again for town council, and Judy Boyke, who was on the town council for many years, but also was supervisor.
Jessica Zambrano as well, yeah.
Yeah, Jessica Zambrano, right. So three really, town supervisors. So there is there is opportunity here to grow and get representation. But so I'm glad. Now, you're not a full committee, right? You still have a lot of room. Is that correct?
Actually, we don't. We've recruited so many people right now. We're to the point that we have pretty much 2 representatives in every one of the election districts. We're now going, we may have to cull the herd. So no, that's one thing I'm proudest of. We are full bore right now.
You're not going to have to cull the herd because we're going to pass a rule in the party that allows you to add even more people to the election districts. But we'll talk about that.
Dustin, we've already taken care of that. We have another thing that we invented called the FOC, Friends of Committee. So if somebody's not on the actual roster, they help us. We put them on the side and they're part of our committee. So we got that figured out too.
Good. So that means that if you're interested and you want to be part of the rejuvenated Cicero Democratic Committee, I'll put the emails in the show notes where you can contact Rob and be a part of this committee. Now, Jay, I'm going to come back to you. We're going to start ending this podcast because we're kind of at that time where people stop listening. But Jay, I like to end with my favorite question, which is,
Yes.
what haven't we talked about? What is something that you wanted to get out there that we haven't been able to talk about your candidacy, about Cicero, whatever? The floor is yours. You get the final word on this podcast. What do you want the people to know?
I'd like them to know two things. The population of Cicero is going to double, and it's going to be Micron people that are going to be the effective or be the cause of that doubling. If you care at all, or if you have some issue with the town, with the roadways, with what's going on with the local laws, now's the time to make your voice heard. And I would just like to add that it's something particularly special about working with the Cicero Democratic Committee and what Rob's done. I don't always agree with Rob. I have had strong disagreements with him twice that I can think of. But he's made the Cicero Democratic Committee into something that it wasn't before. And that is inviting. And that is welcoming to a wide variety of opinions. You want a big tent in politics, in local town politics? You want your big tent party? Well, right now in Cicero, that big tent party is the Democratic Party. And that's the way it evolved, because there was it just evolved the other way systemically. And right now, the big tent party, the one that accepts and is welcoming to different opinions, is the Democratic Party. Rob's done a great job of that. I don't always agree with him. I don't always agree with others in the Democratic Committee, but they've been welcoming, and they're going to be that same way. We are all going to be that same way as Democrats, as the Micron people come in, as Cicero's population doubles. We're going to be the folks to go to make your voice heard for Cicero's tomorrow. As a Cicero resident, we're going to be welcoming to your voice. We're going to be welcoming to your opinions. We're going to be welcoming to your feedback, to your ideas. That's what we're going to do on the town board. And more importantly, that's what the Cicero Democratic Party under Rob's excellent leadership is going to do in the future, in these coming 20 years, as Cicero's population doubles.
Well, Jay, Rob, thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny. You're fighting the good fight out there in Cicero. It's not an impossible fight, and I believe with all the forces behind you, you're going to make some positive impact. So I want to thank you for running. Thank you, Rob, for serving, and I wish you well. Thank you again for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin. It was indeed a pleasure.
And that was my interview with Jay Riordan and Rob Santucci of the Cicero Democratic Committee. Jay is running for Cicero Town Board along with Joan Kessel, who was unable to make that interview. But please stick around, and please check them out. Find the Cicero Democratic Committee in the show notes and go help out these campaigns. This weekend, I will not be doing a weekly wonk. I'll be doing a bonus Zoom with Czarny with the Camillus Democrats, Lauren Hardy Chase, and a few others that are running for Mary Wolsnick, who's running for Camillus Town Board. They run in wards out in Camillus. So like Salina, it's a smaller area, but they are running out there. There's a lot of candidates. So I wanted to bring that bonus interview to you. So no weekly wonk this week. And I'll be returning with a commissioner and a card next weekend or next Tuesday, where I'll be talking about early voting and how it's going and how you can still participate for this general election. So that's all I got today. Remember to go to DustinCzarny.com, where you can like, subscribe, get email notifications for every time I post something. I just posted a editorial that I wrote for Syracuse.com. And it's right up on the website. And it's about how Onondaga County is shorting our budget for 2024 for the Onondaga County Board of Elections. So check that out, because I think it's very important that you, the public, hear from us, the election commissioners, and specifically me, about what our worries are going into 2024 and what some of the concerns are with the budget process that played out this year. So check that out, and get out and vote. Early voting starts tomorrow. I hope to see you around. Bye-bye.